Part 19. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 181. Inside the castle. The fighting continues. This was the first time that Shen Jian had truly witnessed a fight between red-clad ghosts. Violent yin qi was raging in every move he made. The ghost weapon he waved released waves of oppression, and the low roar contained strong supernatural power. If it were an ordinary person standing here, he would have been killed by the overflowing supernatural beings. Shen Jian pointed while eating Chinese New Year preserved fruits. Sister-in-law, try to cut him off, he won't dare not guard you. Brother, she is carrying a heavy load and her upper plate is unstable. Take advantage of this. Tear out the heart, you can't kill someone like this. Little Snow Ghost leaned against the door, shivering, feeling that she was the only normal person in this room. This scene is so scary. A battle between red-clad evil spirits. My master was even more excited than the fierce ghosts on both sides of the war. At a certain moment, she even had the illusion that she was the alien in this castle. She should be excited at this time. Emotions such as fear, panic, and worry are inappropriate. She thought about it, and it seemed that their initial purpose was just to allow these two red-clad ghosts to be responsible for sniping away some miscellaneous soldiers when Mother accepted the challenge from the Ghost King, and then join forces to fight against the Ghost King. Now this goal will most likely not be achieved. A few minutes later, the couple vented part of their anger, calmed down a little, stopped fighting, and stood there thoughtfully. They were very miserable at this moment. The woman's arm was torn off, and black blood continued to gush out from the fracture. One of the man's eyes was scratched out. There were 5 large holes on the left side of his chest, and his face was covered with blood stains. It always feels like something is wrong. Our original script didn't seem to be like this. It's him. The couple looked at Shen Jian together. Recall everything that just happened. Their faces gradually darkened. They had obviously arranged the script to show the scary tricks to humans step by step, and finally used him to complete the last scary arrangement. But during their conversation, this human being kept quarreling, escalating the conflict between the two parties step by step. As a result, the two of them were attracted by each other's rhythm step by step, gradually bringing out the problems that the two sides had accumulated over time, igniting anger in an instant. I even forgot that quarreling is just a way to scare people. It turned into a real argument. In the end there was a big fight. I've been hunting all day, but today I got pecked in the eye. The night ghost opened his remaining eyeball and murmured gloomily. The couple used to quarrel to attract others' attention and lead each other step by step into the abyss of fear. They believed that they had rich experience in the art of speaking and guiding emotions. I didn't expect to be tricked by a human being today. Haha, human being, no matter how eloquent you are just a living person. Now do you plan to use your mouth to survive from our hands? The woman also sneered and approached Shen Jian. The dismembered bodies were still scattered on the ground, but the supernatural aura on them became more and more terrifying. How dare you? Little Snow Ghost shouted, this is Mother's guest, who of you dares to do something? We want to kill that woman's guest, Yukino. A fierce ghost actually treats a human as a guest, which embarrasses us. The woman smiled sadly. The night ghost already showed his ferocious face and rushed forward with the ghost weapon. He looked like he didn't take anyone seriously. Shen Jian smiled scornfully, took out the ghost sickle, and pointed at Xiaoxiugui. When dealing with people, it is important to compare their feelings with each other. I gave my goodwill to help them break up the fight, but the other party didn't know how to be kind, they didn't know a good heart, and my efforts were in vain. What do you think should be done? Shen Jian guided carefully. He is trying to guide this good seedling on the right path. At the same time, the ghost sickle was swung out. An extreme black light swept away like a bright line. Cut off the female ghost in red at the back. It all happened too fast. No one can react at all. Even the woman herself did not realize that she had been dismembered at the moment she was cut off at the waist. The night ghost vaguely noticed something was wrong, but looking at his intact body, he continued to walk towards Shenjian. "Your wife is broken," Shenjian warned as he swung his next sword. "Your wife just broke." The night ghost swore back, turned his head subconsciously, and opened his mouth in shock. "Damn it! It's so cracked." The night ghost stayed where he was. The first reaction was not anger, but fear. Deep fear. A chill ran down my spine, and every hair on my body was trembling crazily. Horrible, horrified, panicked. Various emotions were intertwined in his mind, causing his face to look gloomy and uncertain. With one swing of the knife, his wife was dismembered. And he couldn't even notice it. Even the king of ghosts couldn't kill his wife quietly without using any supernatural powers. This human being is so evil. Laugh. It was also this moment. The night ghost noticed his wife's eyes that were spinning crazily, as if there was some scourge behind him. Then, his perspective moved up and he saw a headless corpse. Wearing familiar clothes, he also held a long sword and a ghost weapon in his hand. Grass. Isn't that him? I'm cracked too. You see, this is the consequence of ignoring other people's good intentions. If they competed, one of them would still be alive, but now they are all dead. Do you think it is a loss? Shenjian is still trying to make points. Little snow ghost. She remembered the master's words again, "I'll give you face, so don't be ungrateful. Take back the ghost sickle." Shenjian glanced at the task prompt. Hidden mission, collect the 3 red clothes in the ancient castle, 0/3. He frowned. Doesn't this count as recovery? Could it be that he wants the other party to truly participate in the battle for the title of king? The conditions are really difficult. Shenjian clicked his tongue and came to the 2 dismembered corpses. He said condescendingly, "You know about the battle for the title of king, right?" The eyes of the 2 red-clothed devils blinked wildly. "It's good to know. I invite you to participate now. Do you have any questions?" Night ghost. Female ghost in red. Is this your attitude towards asking for help? And you should have shown off your muscles earlier. If you had shown off your muscles, you would have saved us the strip. No problem, we absolutely support the head of the Yukino family. The 2 fierce ghosts said honestly. 2/3. See it? Shenjian nodded with satisfaction. That's good, you can recover on your own. Shenjian stared straight at the 2 ghosts in front of him. After thinking about it, he still didn't put on a sack. They were here anyway and couldn't escape. And compared to the subsequent debut of the Ghost King, these 2 red-clad fierce ghosts seemed insignificant. Get out of the castle. Shenjian asked about the situation of the last red-clad ghost. Little Snow Ghost held Shenjian's arm. "Master, let's go have dinner first." The last veteran-level ghost only appears in the middle of the night. It is usually hidden and can't be found at all. After thinking for a while, Shenjian nodded. Late at night. By the lotus pond. An artistic ghost is sitting by the lotus pond, fixing the drawing board to one side, and then adjusting colors. The pen holder is pointing at the lotus leaves, measuring something. Master, he is the last one in red. He is obsessed with painting. He will only appear during the period when the moonlight is the best. But his paintings. Little Snow Ghost didn't know how to speak. Shenjian's eyes lit up. Walked up. And put his head close to it. Then he looked startled. Because this fierce ghost is not painting lotus leaves, but him. On the drawing board. A wonderful self emerges. However, in the drawing board, there are 2 lines of blood hanging from his eyes, his forehead is sunken, his mouth, nose, and ears are bleeding, and his chest is penetrated by a steel bar, and his face is so white. The artistic ghost turned around, his mouth and nose were gone, and the corners of his eyes were infinitely long. Under the moonlight, he had an extremely charming smile on his face. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 182. Looking at himself on the drawing board, Shenjian fell into deep thought. He was still murmuring, "Is this what I look like? It's so scary. It's so weird, why are my eyes bleeding? The forehead is sunken so deeply, and the skin is like this, it's like he's been dead for several days. This state of death. It's a bit like a steel bar falling from a high altitude penetrated the chest directly, and under the influence of gravity, the head fell forward and hit the stone. What's going on with the blood? Bleeding from this kind of part should be a foreign object entered the eye, causing the vitreous to rupture." Shenjian revolved around this painting and figured out his death method bit by bit. The little snow ghost followed behind, swallowing hard at the sound. How could the master say such a terrible thing so easily? When the evil spirits reach the red level, their supernatural powers will turn into various fatal curses. Among them, the most common one is the killing curse. Whether it is using verbal curses or using other supernatural props to curse, the most basic rule is that it requires the approval of the person or the victim. As for the third red-clad art ghost in the ice and snow castle, his supernatural power is the portrait curse. The more he stared at the portrait, the more he felt suddenly that he had died a long time ago. This kind of curse-killing supernatural being is very common. But what is unusual is the red-coded level strength of the art ghost. Even the Ghost King can be cursed and killed. He is also the most powerful of the 4 red-clad ghosts in the ice and snow castle. Shenjian was heard muttering to himself. The art ghost was also very surprised. Although with his supernatural powers, he can still kill this human being even if he doesn't approve of it. But this was the first time he encountered such a cooperative living person. Strange. But he also had some doubts. It stands to reason that when the other person is staring at the portrait, he should be cursed to death by himself. But this man is still alive and kicking. Still shaking his head and sighing. Tisk, it looks quite miserable. It seems that you have to be careful about throwing objects from high altitude next time. After all, you only live once. Art ghost. Oh my God, do you really realize you only live once? If you really realize that you only live once, then you should obey the laws of nature and treat me like a corpse. Instead of commenting on my paintings here. The art ghost cursed secretly. Some intervention had to be made. You are dead, this is what you really look like. The art ghost said gloomily. If you don't believe me, go take a picture by the lake. You still have a steel bar stuck in your body and your orifices are bleeding. Hear this. Shenjian was suddenly startled. He seemed to realize something all of a sudden, his eyes widened and his breathing gradually became heavier. The artistic ghost looked in his eyes, full of expectation. Yes, yes, it's exactly what you imagined. Come on, speak up. I'm dead? Then why can I still talk? Shenjian had a solemn expression and murmured. I'm already dead, why don't I feel anything? Under what circumstances can the dead speak? Art ghost. Yes, yes, keep saying it, the atmosphere is right, keep going. He wished he could help Shenjian and shout come on. Finally. Shenjian showed a surprised expression. I see. A talking dead person, isn't that a ghost? I came back from the dead and turned into a ghost? Awesome. Art ghost? Where's your mother? He was so angry that he almost vomited blood. I've been waiting for a long time, Can you provide me with this kind of enterprise-level understanding? After discovering that the curse was ineffective, he activated the second and deeper supernatural experience. He expected that after realizing that he was dead, the human opposite would be attacked by the supernatural and truly turn into a dead person. But the other party's cognition. It completely subverts the years of harmful experience of art ghosts. Finally he couldn't bear it anymore. Although it is the instinct of a ghost to attack humans with supernatural powers, as a red-clothed ghost, he can strangle this human to death with his own hands even if he does not use supernatural powers. The artistic ghost stood up. The face without a mouth and nose was like a black hole, and the corners of the eyes were stretched to the temples. There were no normal facial features at all. He stretched out his pale hand and pinched Shen Jian's neck. "Dude, what are you doing?" Shen Jian was suspicious. The artistic ghost didn't speak, he just smiled sinisterly and kept moving his hands. Snapped. A shocking loud noise came. The artistic ghost was slapped to the ground, and the left side of his face was sunken, showing a slap mark. Shen Jian looked unkind. "Brother, everyone is a ghost. Why do you want to strangle me as soon as you come up? If I were a living person, it would be okay if you attacked me. Now I am also a ghost. Do you want to bully me, a newbie ghost, by relying on the fact that you are an old-timer?" The art ghost got up with a dazed look in his eyes. Somewhat confused. "You're a dog, you grew up eating slaps." With such force, he almost slapped his head off. After hearing what Shen Jian said, he suddenly thought of something. This human being wouldn't think that he had become a ghost, so he could be so unscrupulous. If so. The art ghost looked at Shen Jian sadly, and said in a jesting voice, "Is there a possibility that one of us is not a ghost?" Hear this. Shen Jian's face slowly darkened. "Okay, you actually lied to me. It turns out you are alive." Art ghost? Broken. I'm a stand-in. He was about to open his mouth to explain, but found that the man opposite him suddenly looked at him, his eyes gradually became more and more dangerous, and his face showed a typical evil smile. He. That's great. I just became a newbie ghost, and I bumped into a living person who stayed up most of the night and came out looking for death. GGG, human, you are my first achievement after becoming a ghost. I'm sorry. Shen Jian approached step by step with a sinister smile. Art ghost. He was dumbfounded for a moment. The other party changed from a human to a ghost, and he changed from a ghost to a human. But soon, the artistic ghost reacted. Why is he panicking? He is a red-clothed level fierce ghost. So after being stunned for a while, he also had a sinister smile on his face. You want to harm me? Haha, come and hit me. As soon as these words came out, the little snow ghost who had been watching took a breath of cold air. In place of the night ghost who was broken into two pieces, the female ghost in red gave him a thumbs up. Warrior. Shen Jian was also a little surprised. There was a bit of enthusiasm in his eyes, and he took out the morning stick. He had never seen such a request in his life. The other party must be satisfied. Picking up the morning stick, Shen Jian rushed forward. After a burst of wailing mixed with screams, Shen Jian sat on the art ghost's stool. Artistic ghosts stay far away. His body was bruised and his face was swollen. It no longer has the majesty of the past. Come here, I want to ask you something. Shen Jian raised the morning stick and waved. The artistic ghost was overjoyed when he heard this. It turns out that this human being asked him for help with something. It must be severely embarrassed. He walked over and looked at Shen Jian condescendingly. Shen Jian was dissatisfied. Leng shouted, "Who told you to stand? Kneel down, I want to ask you something." Art ghost? Ask me to do something, make me kneel down? Joe Bape doesn't even think of such an insult. The artistic ghost's face was full of humiliation, but under Shen Jian's increasingly dangerous eyes, he still knelt down. That's right. In a few days, you will join me in the battle for the title of king. I refuse. Um. I, I, I know. The art ghost wants to cry but has no tears. Wiping his tears, he watched the devil leave and silently packed up his precious drawing board. As for Shen Jian, the scarlet panel has emerged. Hidden mission, collect the 3 red clothes in the ancient castle, completed. Note, the second phase of the mission is started. Note, the player has accepted the only designated task, and the current task cannot be rejected. The task is loading. Loading completed. Hidden mission, help the owner of the ice and snow castle advance smoothly. Glanced twice. Shen Jian withdrew his gaze. Until the Ghost King comes, there seems to be no way to contain him in horror games. This hidden mission is just like giving it away for free. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 183. That's all. 3 days passed. A monstrous yin energy shot straight into the sky. Yukino has been promoted to Ghost King. At the moment of promotion, a haze formed above the clouds. Shen Jian understood that it was a sign of being crowned king. Once it appears, any Ghost King can challenge it. Such a challenge does not violate the rules of the thriller world. Instead, the horror world encourages this form of fighting. In front of Shen Jian, the scarlet panel emerged. It has been detected that the owner of the ice and snow castle has been promoted to the Ghost King, and the 3rd phase of the mission has begun. It has been detected that the player has chosen the ice and snow castle side, and the lineup has been set. Hidden mission, help the owner of the ice and snow castle successfully become the king. Note, this task cannot be refused. Shen Jian skipped the panel. Appear outside the manor. At this time, 4 red-clothed fierce ghosts appeared in the ice and snow castle. The night ghost, the female ghost in red, the art ghost, and the housekeeper. The little snow ghost also followed. The level of terror on her body is also red level. See Shen Jian. The 3 red-clothed men who were originally majestic suddenly shrank their heads. Are you sure you don't want to run away? Yukino asked one last time. The ice and snow castle has long been targeted by other supernatural places. The moment I become the king is when the war starts, but there is still a time lag. If you still regret it now, I can help you delay the time. I'm here to watch the fun. Shen Jian was strolling leisurely, looking very relaxed. There is a sense that when the main force is tired, I will fight for him again. Hear this. Little snow ghost's originally tense mood suddenly relaxed. Don't worry, mother, as long as the master is here, it will be useless even if the Ghost King comes. Little snow ghost cheered. Among all the ghosts present, she was probably the only one who unswervingly believed in Shen Jian to help the ice and snow castle survive the crisis. When the 3 red-clothed fierce ghosts saw this, they couldn't help but murmur in their hearts. That human being is very strong. Possessing strength no less than that of the Ghost King. But the battle for the title of king is not a simple one-on-one battle. Instead, he faced a group of eager hunters. With the capabilities of the ice and snow castle, the limit is a Ghost King. Even if Shen Jian is added, the 2 of them are already difficult to resist. If the 3rd Ghost King appears by then you can only ask for blessings. Let's go, the battlefield cannot be placed here. Yukino said. Turn around and leave. The stern face was full of solemnity. The lost will was rekindled back. Whether it's for herself, her daughter, or her lover, she must win. Inside the manor, 29 players stared at the scene blankly. 5 red-clothed powerful ghosts and 1 ghost king are traveling. If this configuration were placed in the Yang world, it would be enough to cause a disaster that would destroy the city. But right now, the atmosphere at the scene is serious and dignified. The players didn't dare to breathe. Then his eyes noticed the only human being among the number of people traveling. His reaction was different from those of the red-clad ghosts. Leisurely and relaxed. There was no seriousness in his expression. On the contrary, he had a very calm demeanor. It's like going on an outing. The same player, why can he participate in the main mission, but we can only watch and wait for the results? TCH, if you are level 30, you can go too. Don't think about it, that person is not on the same level as us. While we were still struggling to survive outside the manor, others were already involved with the evil ghosts. Hey, we are both players, and the gap is too big. The players were in an uproar. There were many discussions. It is conceivable that when this copy is over, there will be another wave of massacre topics on the Supernatural forum. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 184. Outside the ice and snow castle is a quiet path leading to the city. If they want to prevent the battlefield from spreading to the manor, they must go out. This is also the rule in the history of kingship battles. The new Ghost King needs to go out and accept the challenges from other Ghost Kings. At this time, a thin layer of mist appeared around the trail, and waves of resentful wails sounded from the depths, as if something supernatural had been waiting there. As it went deeper, a large amount of gray-white fog shrouded the surroundings, and there seemed to be strange shadows dancing in the fog. Their movements are stiff and their limb joints are very inflexible. They jump, 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 jump. It's like a puppet being manipulated. In another venue, this would be an extremely exciting puppet show. But at this moment, there is only horror. The body movements of these dolls are getting bigger and weirder, and they seem to be imprinted in everyone's mind. Even if they turn their heads and don't look at them, they will be recalled uncontrollably. Each action scene becomes more profound. It seems to penetrate into the soul. Until the end. Everyone noticed that their hands and feet seemed to be reacting uncoordinatedly, as if they were responding to the puppet show. It's a boring trick, let's go meet him. The night ghost and the female ghost in red stood out at the same time. This is not the attack of the Ghost King, but the soldiers blocking the road, belonging to a certain Ghost King. The two fierce ghosts joining forces are enough to compete with the top red-clothed level. The night ghost pulled out the ghost sword. The female ghost in red took out the ghost whip. Go to the puppet. Suddenly, heads and limbs flew everywhere. In the mist, there were waves of terrifying roars. Yukino's face was solemn. But just as he was crowned king, the evil ghost blocking the way had already appeared here. This shows that the other party has already been waiting here. Just waiting for the moment she walked out of the ice and snow castle. The middle section of the trail. A forest appeared near the trail. There were heads hanging from the big trees in the forest, all staring at the ground with their eyes wide open. Although only the heads were left, their eyes looked like living people, peeping at every move here. After getting closer, some figures can be vaguely seen floating in the forest. There are lonely ghosts, white-clothed classes, green-clothed classes, and even red-clothed classes. As the team arrives, a terrifying cold evil spirit began to spread rapidly, dyeing the white mist into dark red bit by bit, and attacked the team with a heart-stopping aura. Wherever it passes, vegetation dies. Even the sky was stained with a layer of gray. The artistic ghost walked out slowly, holding a drawing board in his hand. Just sketch a few strokes on it, and a picture of 100 ghosts decapitated will emerge. The heads of the ghostly figures floating in the forest fell to the ground one by one. Master, the ice and snow castle really needs a king. Just say it, Art Ghost. Went into the woods. As he kept sketching on the drawing board, an incredible sound came from the forest. Shen Jian's eyes moved. He glanced at the group of ghosts in the forest and forced his gaze away. Then he suppressed his inner urge and did not take action for the time being. Because he knows that you can't lose big at the expense of small things. No matter how many ghosts there are, their quality cannot be compared to one ghost king. If he strikes first and shows his ability to knead the top red-clad ghosts at will, this may scare away some of the attackers. This is what Shen Jian doesn't want to see. Ghost eyes, mark these ghosts for me. If you miss one, your nine-eyed dream will be over. Shen Jian suppressed his excitement. Murmured quietly. The words fell. 6 scarlet eyes opened from the back of Shen Jian's hand. The 5 eyes were in the past. After Ghost Eye secretly licked some of the medicinal wine, the number of his eyes returned to 6. The scope of the ghost domain has expanded again. And it has a new supernatural power. The red light flashed randomly and then disappeared. Suino glanced at Shen Jian thoughtfully, said nothing, but continued to move forward. At this time, the trail to seclusion is approaching the second half. On a back slope, another wave of top-level red-shirt supernatural waves swept through. A fierce ghost wearing a bright red robe stood calmly on the back slope. When he saw a group of people approaching, he raised a hand without warning. You should die if you attack my lord. Housekeeper Zhuang Su's face became extremely penetrating at this moment, a sharp and sinister growl broke out, and she stepped forward to meet him. With a flash of light and shadow, the two ghosts appeared 100 meters away. Shen Jian's eyes were slightly surprised. This housekeeper is actually a rare ghost with a ghost realm. Although the scope of the ghost domain is not large, it covers 100 meters, which is basically the same as the ghost gate he controls. In the team, Little Snow Ghost took a deep breath and clenched his fists, inevitably feeling a little nervous. Now there are only 3 left in the team. Mother, her, and the Master. If another red-clothed ghost blocks the way, it will be her turn. But she had only been promoted to red dress a few days ago with the help of the 3-star flesh-seeing ghost, and she had never even experienced a battle of this level. Naturally, my heart was filled with uneasiness. She knew that if she did not stop these powerful ghosts for her mother, it would be difficult for her mother to be distracted when the Ghost King fights. If the other party possesses some kind of weird and unsolvable supernatural power, it may become the key to affecting the situation of the battle. Master, we will definitely win, right? Little Snow Ghost suddenly asked. You will help Mother win this victory, right? Shen Jian was slightly startled. He met the extremely nervous look on Xiao Suiwi's face. This is a kind of psychological comfort that people seek when they are under extreme stress, and ghosts are no exception. Shen Jian touched her head and nodded. I'll take action. Shen Jian looked calm. At this time, suddenly there was a rustling sound all around. Yukino turned around and saw that the surrounding environment began to change. The path leading to the seclusion turned into a road of bones. Mountains of corpses and seas of corpses all around. Several mountains of blood were stacked on top of each other. The sounds of whining, scratching, and crying are endless. This is Ghost Land. A top-notch red-clad ghost with a ghost domain took action. Terrifying supernatural fluctuations swept across. Xiaoxugui's face turned pale, and his scalp almost exploded. Not talking about the ghost realm, she couldn't match the strength of the opponent's top red-clothed level alone. Don't be afraid. Yukino spoke. There was a strong chill in her voice. She looked to the side and stretched out her green hand. Click. At the end of the mountain, a piece of ice wrapped in a blood-red ghost fell out. The ice cubes shattered, the blood-red ghost's body was dismembered into several pieces, and the ghost realm began to dissipate. This is the supernatural power of snow ghosts. It can freeze supernatural beings and suppress the resurrected supernatural beings of evil ghosts. The blood-red ghosts began to reorganize. The breath dropped again and again. When the little snow ghost saw this, he took the morning stick handed out by Shen Jian and killed him. So far, there were only 2 people left in the entire team. The path to seclusion has also come to an end. This is the location of the final battle for kingship. Yukino stopped moving forward. Stand in place immediately. Then he looked at Shen Jian. Do you regret it? Judging from the 4 top red-clad ghosts that appeared along the way, the Ghost King who wanted to kill me was definitely prepared. Since the other party has taken action, he is absolutely sure. At this point, you have already there is no retreat. Suino caressed Shen Jian's face, with a touch of tenderness on his face. Although you are a human being, you have a bright future. Even if you touch the real core of this place in the future, there is no problem in my opinion. Now, will you be a little unwilling to die here with an old woman like me? You can tell me these words in the room after you go back. Shen Jian said. There was no wavering in his tone, not even a trace of panic, fear. It was as if he had seen so many top-notch red-clothed ghosts taking action at the same time, but his heart didn't even stir at all. A mysterious man that you can't help but explore. Yukino thought inwardly. He glanced around. She knew that those ghost kings had already arrived in person, and now they were just waiting for the opportunity. Her time is running out. Think of this. She made an unexpected decision. Yukino raised her head, her sky-blue pupils slowly closing. Kiss me. There was barely any hesitation. Shen Jian lowered his head and kissed Suino's lips hard. Wow! All around the secluded path, an uproar suddenly broke out. Obviously, many of the evil ghosts hidden inside were stunned. The owner of the ice and snow castle, a ghost king, openly expressed his love for a human being. How puzzling this is! How unbelievable! The master of the ice and snow castle, who was as aloof and as cold and arrogant as a mountain, actually staged such a heated drama in front of a group of ghosts during his battle for the title of king. All the ghosts are envious and jealous. And he hated Shen Jian very much. How could a mere human being commit himself to a ghost king? They couldn't wait to replace it. Become the one who makes the owner of the ice castle fall in love with you. Enough. At this time, sudden changes occur. At the end of the path leading to the seclusion, a strange bloody red cloud appeared. The clouds were stained with blood, and a tall figure with a body like a copper wall and an iron wall appeared there. The expression was gloomy, and the cold voice came through, making every ghost hiding in the dark feel cold and goosebumps all over. This supernatural power is so terrifying that one cannot resist. Even the red-clothed level devil's hair stood on end. It's the Ghost King. The Ghost King takes action. That's the Corpse King. Zombie King, the legendary zombie raised by nature, is only half as rare as the twin evil spirits. How many years has it been since he became the Ghost King, yet he actually takes action? In the forest, exclamations continued to sound. Zombies are a rare species in the horror world. Raised naturally. There are not many of them in the world. Even fewer can advance to Ghost King. I don't understand. It is said that the Corpse King once pursued the owner of the ice and snow castle, but the other party never even looked at him. Now he is bold enough to openly demand from a human being. If the Corpse King can bear it, then, became a ninja god. This is too pitiful. In comparison, doesn't it mean that the Corpse King is not even as good as a human being? But one thing to say, that human being is quite handsome. Even from our perspective, he is unique. It is normal for a fierce ghost like Snow Ghost to control his appearance. There was a lot of buzz. This made the Corpse King's expression even more distorted. Yukino, why did you reject me because of this human being? The Corpse King roared, his face full of confusion. He is a majestic ghost king, but he can't compare to an insignificant human being. A long time. The two separated. A blush appeared on Yukino's face. Her heart was beating fast. This was the first and last time she would do such a thing. Hear what the Corpse King said. She tilted her head and said coldly, "No, it's just because you are too ugly. If I weren't worried that you would attack the ice and snow castle at all costs, I would have wanted to say a long time ago that you don't look in the mirror. And compared with him, how can you compare to him?" As soon as these words came out, the air conditioning in the forest became thinner. They were all sucked away by the evil spirits. These words. It hurts your self-esteem so much. As expected. The Corpse King's expression suddenly changed. Get twisted and crazy. Yukino, you forced me to do this. If I can't get you, no one else can get you either. The Corpse King roared. The terrifying evil aura swept across, making people's scalp numb just looking at it, and they felt that if they took just one look, they would be shocked by the supernatural confounding in the evil aura and become a fool. If you want to fight, then fight, no nonsense. Yukino drank coldly. The two ghost kings immediately fought together. At this time, Shenjian was the only one left in the field. The eyes of countless fierce ghosts stared at this enviable and jealous human being with evil eyes. Who has tasted the lips of a ghost king? This human being can taste these at the last moment of his life, and he will die without regrets. Keek, I don't know if the lover who is valued by Sister Shui will have a chance to taste it. A giggle rang out. A beautiful woman wearing a bright red paper dress walked out of the mist, and behind her, countless crooked paper dolls of children also walked out densely. These paper figure children held white lanterns in their hands and also let out giggling laughter. It was horrifying to watch. Is her, the descendant of the bloody paper shop. His, the daughter of that couple, a veritable second generation, is full of supernatural powers. Stay away, don't be affected. See those paper figures? They are all full of ghosts. With this number of ghosts attacking together, the Ghost King has to take shelter temporarily. The ghosts exclaimed again. That's not all. In the mist on the other side, a fierce ghost with eyes all over its body also came out. Scarlet eyes rolled around. The fierce ghosts who were exposed all let out a scream of pain. His own supernatural powers were deprived of him, and he turned into a lifeless corpse. It's the 100-eyed Ghost King. He is a guest elder of the Lu family. Is it possible that the Lu family is also interested in the ice and snow castle? There is a blood-colored paper shop and the Lu family, they are all big figures who cannot afford to offend in the horror world. This ice and snow castle has come to an end. The ghosts were in an uproar. The Corpse King, the girl in paper clothes, and the 100-eyed Ghost King all attack at the same time. Not to mention that there is only one new Ghost King in the ice and snow castle. Even if another one comes, they will not be able to escape the fate of being destroyed. And in the field at this time, there is only one mistress of the Lord of Ice and Snow Castle left. Even if she has some strength, she may not be able to survive for a second under the attack of the two Ghost Kings. When the three Ghost Kings are surrounded, the outcome of the Lord of Ice and Snow Castle will be, it's already decided. This moment, the onlookers all around showed sinister smiles. The outcome of this human race has already been decided. But, when they looked at this human's expression, they seemed to find that the corners of his mouth were uncontrollably rising. Like laughing. Crazy. The ghosts couldn't help but feel pity. Really? Facing two Ghost Kings at the same time, which of the fierce ghosts present has ever had this honor? Just a human being. Under the supernatural power of the two Ghost Kings, it is normal to be frightened. Little did I know. Feeling the breath of these two ghost kings, Shen Jian could no longer control his expression and showed a strange smile. Three ghost kings appeared together. There are ghosts in the forest. All the onlookers in this battle for the title of king have already appeared. Shen Jian's eyes moved. If he catches them all, he can definitely unlock the fourth Yama Hall. Then, Shen Jian stretched out his hand. He took out an ancient long sword. Trick, 7-star demon sword, exclusive to Zhong Kui. Introduce : Shen Jian looked up, staring at the two ghost kings. Take this sword and kill you. The whole place was dead silent. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 185. Hear this. The two ghost kings were stunned for a moment, and the surrounding ghosts were also stunned. Then, loud laughter erupted. The ghost slayer king must have eaten too much Jinke La, and he dared to say such things. It is indeed crazy. The ghosts shook their heads and sneered. A frightened and stupid human being can also become the mistress of the Lord of Ice and Snow Castle. The vision of this new ghost king does not seem to be very good. Apart from being a little handsome, he has no merit at all. Baimagui took 3 steps forward, stopped, and looked at Shen Jian, full of provocation. On the flesh, scarlet eyes kept opening one after another. It was strange and strange. Countless eyes swept out, and a great terror spread. His ghost eyes told him that there was something very nourishing in this human being, and if he could swallow it, he would be reborn. So he took action. The 100-eyed ghost dynasty came forward, and with its scarlet and bloody eyes opening, the overwhelming terrifying supernatural force made the air a bit depressing, making the surrounding ghosts extremely frightened. He. Kill me? Just with the broken ghost weapon in your hand. Would you like to kill one? Shen Jian also smiled. A bit more arrogant than the other party. With this sword of mine, I will cut off your dog's head. Shen Jian said lightly. A sword was swung through the air. He didn't even aim at the direction, he just slashed the sword casually. You are really crazy. I thought that taking out a ghost weapon would make the battle a little more interesting, but I didn't expect that it was just for showing off. Even if you want to show off, just aim it at the enemy. What a clown, ugly, so ugly. The ghosts are making noise. They were all spurned. Seeing this, the 100-eyed ghost king immediately shook his head. Human, you. The words have not yet fallen. Bones. A head full of blood rolled down. His eyes were wide open, as if he didn't react at all, but also seemed to be shocked and horrified. Thump. The corpse of the ghost king fell. A head fell several meters away. The whole place was silent. All the ridicule, and contempt turned into shock at this moment. Died. They were all dismembered, probably. This. Deep in the forest, a group of powerful ghosts hiding here were so shocked that they were speechless. No one expected that the battles between the top red-clothed warriors had been going on for so long, and the battle between the ghost kings had been going on for so long. The first to tell the difference. It was actually the last battle that started. It's a decisive battle between humans and a ghost king. This human being, who was regarded as a joke by everyone at the beginning, staged a shocking reversal at this moment. This sword seemed to give all the evil spirits a slap in the face. Killed a ghost king with one sword. Dismember the opponent. In the world of evil spirits, being dismembered is basically a death sentence. In other words, this harmless human being is the strongest power of the Ice and Snow Castle. It is also the most hidden. Fooled everyone. The 100-eyed ghost king was the victim of this battle. It's not him, it's that ghost weapon. In the dead silence of the forest, a fierce ghost revealed the secret. It is simply impossible for a human to kill the Ghost King. The only possibility is the sword. That ancient sword was by no means an ordinary ghost weapon. It probably had a great origin and was a weapon used by ghosts and gods. This is how powerful it is. You can dismember a Ghost King regardless of distance, supernatural powers, or the strength of both parties. As soon as these words came out, they were recognized by other ghosts one after another. The girl in paper clothes also looked serious. No longer as relaxed as before. No matter what the reason was, being able to dismember a Ghost King with one sword was enough to threaten her. Now you. Shen Jian spoke. The 7-star demonic sword pointed diagonally at the ground, then raised it. This magic weapon belonging to the ghost-catching master Zhong Kui possesses the magical power to hit the target instantly. As long as he opens his mouth, no matter how outrageous the target is or how far away it is, he can kill it with one sword. Just as he had just spoken, he chopped off the head of the 100-eyed Ghost King with one sword. Even if he doesn't swing his sword at the target, the supernatural power will take effect. The paper-clothed woman's face sank. The power of this human being at the moment is too terrifying. It made her feel suffocated when facing her parents. She wanted to retreat, but found that her skin ached slightly, and she seemed to have been locked by an unknown supernatural force. You cannot avoid this sword, it will definitely hit your head. Shen Jian murmured. The sword was swung out again, and the light was as cold as day. The girl in paper clothes was horrified. It was promised that it would only have the power of one blow. If she can escape safely from those dogs, she will make them into paper figures for her to drive. In panic, countless paper children carrying white lanterns stood in front of her, trying to stop this sword. Laugh. The next moment, the head of the woman in paper clothes was cut off. The process is silent and cannot be countered at all. Shen Jian frowned. Because after her head was dismembered, the paper-clothed woman in front of her turned into a paper doll split in half. The figure of the main body appeared 100 meters away. Are you kidding me? One of my life-saving tools was shattered with one sword. If it hadn't been for the scapegoat, I would most likely end up like the 100-eyed Ghost King. The woman in paper clothes looked horrified. Escape regardless. Shen Jian struck out with his sword again. The purpose is clear. Dismembered heads. Click click click. The goddess in paper clothes became more and more frightened, and her life-saving props were smashed to pieces one after another. Only then did she save her life. But without the paper doll, the supernatural power would still hit her, and she became a bloody person with wounds all over her body. There was an additional sword mark on the chest, causing great pain. Ah, ah. She groaned in pain. It seems to have reached its limit. Shen Jian only fired 2 swords. One sword smashed the extremely precious scapegoat. One sword stroke consumed all her life-saving tools. One more strike and she would definitely be finished. This sword will make you split. Shen Jian murmured. The sword slashed out again. The paper-clothed woman's eyes widened, and she used the last of her strength to flash and appear 100 meters away, but the supernatural being hit her instantly. Laugh. Her body was split down the middle. The 2 pupils seemed to be unwilling, but also fearful and regretful. Gilug. Dead too. It's obvious, isn't it? Everyone looked at the scene blankly. No one thought that this human being would pretend to be a pig and eat a tiger to such an extent, and that his attack would be so ruthless and terrifying. Kill the 100-eyed Ghost King with one sword. Kill the girl in paper clothes with 3 swords. A total of 4 swords were fired, and each sword was fatal. The unlucky ones were like the 100-eyed Ghost King, who had no life-saving props on him and didn't even show his supernatural powers, so he was dismembered and his head was removed. Fortunately, he had a lot of life-saving tools with him, but in the end he still couldn't escape the fate of being killed. How could there be such terrifying human beings in this world? The ghosts are noisy. There was dead silence for a moment. But this time, Shen Jian frowned. Groove. I seem to be too arrogant. You won't scare these evil spirits away. Think about it. Shen Jian's strong momentum suddenly stagnated, he staggered a few times, his face suddenly turned pale, and the blood around his body was beating, as if a mouthful of blood was about to spurt out, but he was swallowed back. His face darkened, and he quickly covered up this change, as if nothing had happened. Then he looked coldly at the ghosts in the forest. Some said in a stern tone, "Get out, or die." Shen Jian spoke forcefully and extremely arrogantly, trying to cover up his weakness in this way. Forest. The spirits of the ghosts were shocked. That human being is exhausted. At this moment, it was just a fox pretending to be a tiger, using the remaining power of killing two ghost kings to frighten them. The sudden drop in breath and pale face cannot be concealed. Then, a group of ghosts came out of the forest. 1, 2, 3. A total of 23 red-clad ghosts walked out with sinister smiles. That ghost weapon is too tempting. A human can use 4 swords to kill 2 ghost kings with it? If they get it, wouldn't they also be able to kill the ghost king? What's this? This is a step to heaven. As long as they get this sword, their ghost life will reach its peak. Stop. Shen Jian's eyes evaded and he shouted in a tone of voice. The ghosts paused for a moment, all showing joking expressions. Sure enough, I couldn't swing the sword anymore. In this game, it's the mantis stalking the cicada, with the oriole behind. The advantage is in them. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 186. Stop. One more step forward and I will draw my sword. Shen Jian stared at the group of red-clad fierce ghosts who came out, his tone and posture were very arrogant, but the panic in his eyes could no longer be concealed. No matter how you look at it, it seems to mean that you are lustful and jealous. His steps even retreated. The ghosts were shocked. He was afraid of this human being. If he wasn't afraid, he could have continued to draw out his sword, dismembering all the ghosts present with one sword after another. But in fact, the other party would only yell in words, and the meaning of this release was already obvious. Boom, boom, boom. Just then, a weird drumming sound sounded. In the mist, an old man with corpse spots came out. In his hand he beat a human skin drum. The drum beats are dense and the weird rhythm is very uncomfortable. One after another, ferocious ghosts followed behind him, including several top-notch red-clothed ghosts. What's even more terrifying is that on the left side of the old man is an old ghost wearing coarse linen clothes. The yin energy is unfathomable, and he is also a fierce ghost who has just entered the Ghost King level. Yes, it's the old ghost refining old man. Why would such a notorious Ghost King appear here? Back off, quickly, no, run away. All the ghosts and souls are gone. Scattered one after another. The look in his eyes towards this corpse-spotted old man was no longer one of shock, but of horror and fear. No one thought. With the 3 Ghost Kings appearing together, there is actually a 4th Ghost King hidden here. This is a Ghost King with a great reputation, or rather a notorious reputation. What he likes most is to select a ghost with special supernatural powers or powerful strength, imprint it with a supernatural aura, and be driven by him for the rest of his life. This is something unacceptable to Li Gui. This old fox has hidden himself too deeply. He let the 100-eyed Ghost King and the paper girl escape the danger for him. All he has to do is enjoy the benefits of being a fisherman. The one next to him should be an unlucky new Ghost King. He lost to the old Ghost Refiner and was marked. He is a dignified Ghost King and will be driven by others all his life. The purpose of his appearance here is probably to get a taste of the sweetness and want to turn the owner of the ice and snow castle into his ghost servant. The ghosts are afraid. I didn't expect that there was such a sixth person hidden among them. Shen Jian's eyes were equally shining. I'm coming. The last old bibby finally dared to come out. Human, I'm very interested in your sword. The old ghost refining old man said sadly. He was very afraid of the sword, but at the same time he was full of greed. After careful observation, he finally determined that the opponent was really exhausted and could no longer swing the next sword. Go. After saying this, he had no unnecessary nonsense and stared at Shen Jian grimly. The dark wind howled, and large ghost shadows rushed out, covering the sky and the sun. A woman with her intestines exposed, a little boy with a twisted neck, an old man who lost his arms, a man with only half his body left. There are also a series of terrifying ghosts that reach the red level. In the blink of an eye, Shen Jian was surrounded. Coming. The second most disgusting thing about the old ghost refining man is that the ghosts marked with supernatural marks will be detonated at any time. The ghosts are palpitating. Although the detonated ghost will not die on the spot, the body will be dismembered into countless pieces, and the horror level will suddenly drop to a level that is not even as good as the white-clothed level, and it is basically the same as death. This is also the reason why the old ghost refining old man is so notorious, but still carefree and at ease. If he puts everything he has into it, he can take away 3 or 4 ghost kings at once. No ghost king would want to face a mobile powder keg that could explode at any time. Huh? Detonate. Shen Jian was surrounded by ghostly shadows that covered the sky and the sun, feeling the vicious gazes, not caring, and even a little excited. But after hearing what the spoiler ghost said, his expression changed greatly. His face suddenly sank, and he stared at the old ghost refining man. Those are your kind. How could you have the heart to attack them? What do you want their families to think? A ghost's life will explode at any time. There is absolutely no ghost in it. What I hate the most in my life is ghosts like you. You don't use ghosts as labor force, you waste all natural resources. Oh, you are so cruel. Shen Jian's eyes were red. There were so many evil ghosts, and if they were exploded, he would suffer a cerebral hemorrhage. The ghosts around were in a daze. This doesn't sound wrong. This human seems to be very kind-hearted, and would even have an affair with a ghost. You can think about it carefully. It seems like something is not quite right. Haha, human, you should worry about yourself. The old ghost refining old man said. He beat the human skin drum violently on his body. There were bursts of weird drum sounds. A group of controlled ghosts suddenly became in pain, wailing like crazy, the yin energy in their bodies increased abnormally, and their bodies swelled little by little. Slowly, a heart-stopping supernatural wave swept through. The air around him was oppressive. Stop! Shen Jian shouted. What he couldn't stand the most was the suffering of the devil. So I took a big step forward. The My Ghost King next to the old man took action. Raising his hand, a layer of ghost realm burst out. Shen Jian, who had just walked a few steps, returned to the same place strangely. Shen Jian was startled. He looked at the ghost eyes on the back of his hand with disgust. He was already covered by the ghost realm of ghost eyes, but now, the ghost realm was covered. The ghost eye stretches the crotch. Ghost eye. He knew that he was in the wrong, and his 6 scarlet eyes did not dare to look into Shen Jian's eyes. Master, you can't blame me. I just recovered to the red level. It's normal that I can't stop the supernatural invasion of a ghost king. If I recovered to 7 eyes, I wouldn't even look at this little ghost king. I think back then, with all 9 eyes open, ghosts and gods have to light a cigarette for me. Guillen's voice was weak at first, and then became more and more powerful as he spoke. The other side. Shen Jian was seen lowering his head. The fierce ghosts around shook their heads. The two ghost kings join forces. One detonates and the other releases the ghost realm. The combination of the two is simply incomprehensible. This is the true strength of the Ghost King. The previous 100-eyed Ghost King died with great resentment. This human being is finished. Under the cover of the ghost realm, he will never be able to touch the old ghost refiner, but the army of ghost servants of the old ghost refiner can easily get close. This detonated supernatural power combined with the ghost realm that can move at will is a complete kill. You are still too young. You know that you are only capable of 4 swords, but you just wasted your opportunity on the girl in paper clothes. Otherwise, at least 3 of the 4 ghost kings who attacked today will have to stay. At this time, the situation seems to have become clear. Human beings who have lost the ability to wield swords are trapped in the ghost realm, surrounded by ghosts that are about to explode. Once detonated, the Ghost King must also be blown into a fool. Let alone a human being. Boom, boom, boom. The drum beat by the ghost refining old man became louder and louder. The ghosts began to cry and howl, making sharp roars, as if they were suffering from unreasonable pain. The more Shen Jian listened, the more angry and angry his face became. There is nothing fake about this feeling. It actually surprised the old ghost refining man. This human being is so sincere and kind. It seems that he really treats ghosts as human beings. What a human being with a Holy Mother's heart. The old ghost refining old man sneered. The movements in his hands did not stop at all. The sound of the human skin drum became increasingly weird. See it? Shen Jian knew that he could not delay it any longer. If it drags on any longer, his lovely workforce will be killed. Think about this. Shen Jian's whole body breath recovered. Clothes are windless and automatic. Staring at the ghost refining old man with deep eyes. The 7-star demon sword in his hand emitted terrifying supernatural fluctuations. Old ghost refiner. Can you still wield a sword? The old man was horrified. I saw the entire process of Shen Jian's breath changes. The worst possibility suddenly came to mind. This human being is fishing for law enforcement. No, 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 Begui Yaka, give them all to me. The old ghost refining man panicked. Putting his hand on Numb Ghost King, his figure flashed and appeared at the end of his field of vision. One more ghost movement, and you can completely escape sight and escape the battlefield. This sword shall kill you. Shen Jian whispered. Draw a line toward the sky. The end of the line. The body of the ghost refining old man and the ghost king in sackcloth was chopped into 2 pieces. Another sword strike. 2 ghost kings died. The record was set again. The whole place was silent. Do it all. Shen Jian glanced at the surrounding ghosts with pity. Just when the ghosts were guessing that this human with the heart of the Holy Mother would let these ghosts go, he raised his hand and released a layer of strange black energy. As the black energy spread, the ferocious ghosts began to look dull. Looking numb. That is exactly the power of the ghosts and gods of King Chujiang to produce semi-finished products in batches. As the evil ghosts were transformed into dead people, Shen Jian's smile became even brighter. These dead men can not only go underground to mine, but can also be used to supervise workers in black mining areas. They can also cooperate with the underworld to arrest evil ghosts. They are really rare tool ghosts. Naturally, the more, the better. What a pitiful bunch of ghosts. You no longer have a home, but it doesn't matter. I will give you a new home. Come on, join us. We are a warm family. No one will bully you here. Shen Jian smiled and spoke, trying to appease the emotions of these evil spirits. And after observing the group of ghosts who looked numb and obviously lost their self-awareness, the red-clad ghosts around them all widened their eyes. Damn it! This is obviously worse than falling into the hands of the old ghost refiner. After all, the ghost refining old man was just stamped with a supernatural mark. A ghost is still a ghost. He still has consciousness, can think, and can move. But when you get to that human being, it's not certain what you will become. The reason you were so sad and angry just now, you piece of shit, was not because of kindness, but because these ghosts are greedy and are not in your hands, right? Unfortunately, they had some respect for this human being just now. The ghosts were speechless. I just feel like I can't tell the difference between humans and dogs. Shen Jian also noticed the strange looks around him. He didn't care about these worldly prejudices and continued to accept a group of homeless ghosts with a smile like a spring breeze. Those who didn't take their turn seem a little shy, but it doesn't matter. Your former peers will help you accept this big family. Finished. Shen Jian waved his hand. The dead people who had been transformed before gathered around. Just like the ghost refining old man besieging Shen Jian. But this time, it was Shen Jian who surrounded all the red-clothed ghosts. The numerical advantage was suddenly reversed. No, don't. The ghosts howled. Screams were heard everywhere. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 187. The battle between the top redcoat classes continues. The night ghost and the red-clothed female ghost kept fighting with the dolls in the mist. The ghost swords and ghost whips were shot out in all directions, tearing apart the strange dolls that were thrown out one by one. Dolls kept appearing in the dark. His body was covered in blood, his movements were stiff, and he was carrying out a brutal attack without fear of death. Each of these puppets from the theater troupe can erupt with terrifying strength comparable to the Xingyi level. Once surrounded, even the red-level ghosts will be crushed. The night ghost and the female ghost in red gradually became tired of fighting. Although they can easily destroy the doll. But the opponent can make countless mistakes, but they can only make one mistake. This is the horror of the human C tactic. If this trend continues, it will only be a matter of time before the night ghost and the female ghost in red are torn to pieces. At some point, abruptly, the whole puppet suddenly stopped moving. In the mist, a doll suddenly raised its head and looked into the distance. My lord Baimu is dead. Gobashi, so you are here. Haha, you hid it so deep, you weakling. Doll. Ah. Forest. The art ghost holds the drawing board and keeps painting. As a portrait appeared, the ghosts floating in the depths died one by one. There are countless signs of death on his body. Being hit to death, being run over to death, being penetrated to death. But gradually, his movements became slower and slower. The evil ghost hiding in the forest finally revealed his true appearance. It turned out to be a paper ghost that could walk alone and had consciousness. Paper Man Ghost stood in the depths, constantly directing the death squads to attack. Stay close. The artistic genius discovered that these decapitated ghosts were actually paper figures. Only the position of the head is the true form of the ghost. No wonder he killed more and more. It turned out that what he dismembered was just some parts. Just change the body of a paper man and these evil ghosts will be alive again. More and more paper figures gathered around. The art ghost's supernatural powers are no longer able to be resisted. He could only watch his body being overwhelmed by countless evil ghosts. At some point, the paper man who was constantly emitting supernatural power stopped moving. Become limp. The art ghost broke free and took a look. The paper ghost standing in the depths had also turned into a piece of white paper in the shape of a human, with no supernatural being left. He solved the ghost king behind this paper man. The artistic ghost looked up. The face of the noseless and mouthless ghost was full of awe. The battle between the housekeeper and the bright red female ghost is even more amazing. The two fierce ghosts were both close combat supernatural beings. They fought with fists and feet, leaving holes in the hillside. If placed in the Yang world, this power alone could easily level a building. The aftermath of the battle rippled hundreds of meters away. The little snow ghost fights with the seriously injured blood-red ghost. She doesn't need any external force, she just needs to raise the morning stick in her hand and knock it down suddenly. The blood-red ghost will let out a sound of severe pain and use the ghost realm to avoid it. The more she beat, the more excited she became. Finally, she found out why the master liked to hit people with this thick white bone stick. It was tiring and refreshing, and there was also a faint sense of pleasure. She loved this thick morning stick. The battle between the Corpse King and Yukino also entered a fierce stage. The zombie possesses the coldest poison in the world and an indestructible body. Yukino's supernatural power cannot cause substantial damage to the zombie king in front of him. The coldest poison in the world will have an impact on her. Disintegrate her supernatural power. Disturbing her yin qi. Preventing her from successfully launching a supernatural attack. Yukino, you should know that you have lost a long time ago, so why bother to resist stubbornly? Follow me, I can keep you safe, keep your ice and snow castle safe, and everyone present except that human will be safe. Looking at the charming Yukino, the Corpse King softened his tone again and tried his best to dissuade her. You should know that besides me, the 100-eyed Ghost King and the girl in paper clothes are also here. They are the descendants of the bloody paper-making shop and the elder Keking of the Liu family. Do you think there are people in the world of horror who can invite these two? How many corresponding forces are there? Your only way to survive now is to surrender to me, and then remove the ice and snow castle. I will create a perfect doll body for you again, and reproduce it one by one. Only in this way can I protect you. Yukino frowned. Keep taking action. Why bother? You don't think you can really compete with me, do you? The Corpse King felt a little regretful. The boundless evil spirit spread rapidly. You can faintly hear scratching, whining, and sharp sounds coming from it. Just hearing it will throw your mind into confusion. It seems that the Corpse King is going to take action. Da-da-da. Just then, countless heavy footsteps sounded. The huge movement attracted the attention of the two Ghost Kings. Turn around and look. A series of ghosts with numb expressions and empty eyes followed a human. The human pointed his sword sideways, his steps appeared leisurely, and his expression was full of smiles. It was Shen Jian. You're not dead. The Corpse King was surprised. Where's Beimu? Where is the girl in paper clothes? Two Ghost Kings can't kill a human being? What a joke. He was confused. I saw that the human had raised the sword in his hand. He murmured in a low voice, "This sword will cut off your first limb." The words fell. The Corpse King was horrified to find that his indestructible body had lost one of his right arms without warning. Cut off your second limb. Finished. The left arm also fell off. The third limb. This time it's the right leg. The fourth limb. This time it was the left leg. Then, chop off your fifth limb. Corpse King. Ah! The Corpse King, whose limbs were cut off, burst into a miserable wail. It's so noisy. Shen Jian's face was expressionless as he slashed out the 7-star demonic sword again. This time, the Corpse King's head was dismembered. This moment, the whole place was dead silent. The red-clothed level ghosts looked at the scene with shrinking eyes. The eyes looking at Shen Jian were full of fear and awe. This human being is too cruel. He could clearly dismember the Corpse King with one sword, but he had to use this method to humiliate him. Such a holy mother. They gnashed their teeth in anger. But he didn't dare to show it. All of them lowered their heads. You You lied to me. Seeing Shenjian defeating a ghost king that she couldn't defeat in 3 strikes, Yukino was horrified and also thought of something. The look he looked at Shenjian was full of anger. He obviously has the strength to kill the ghost king, but before the battle for the title of king, he openly said that he would accompany her to death. It is self-evident what his purpose is. The results are good, that's it? Shenjian smiled and did not refute. Soon, the battle between the 5 red-clad fierce ghosts also had a winner. After the night ghost, the female ghost in red, and the art ghost joined the battlefield. There is no suspense in the battle. This battle for the title of king has ended successfully. The atmosphere was lively. Especially after hearing about Shenjian's record of killing 5 ghost kings in a row, he was even more in awe of him as a god. He worked hard and fast to help Shenjian organize the battlefield. Sir, this ghost king seems a little strange. At this time. Night ghost report. Shenjian frowned. He came to the body of the woman in paper clothes that was split into 2 halves. The mutilated corpse had shriveled up, leaving only a straw man with crooked writing on its body. Shenjian was stunned for a moment. He was very sure that the girl in paper clothes who was dismembered by the Kixing Dang demon sword would not be able to recover in a short time. She was definitely rescued. And in his perception, there was only a vague aura left in place. Then, Shenjian cursed loudly. Who picked up my body? You won't kill yourself if you want a corpse, right? You're really capable of robbing people, but you don't have the ability to admit it, right? I hope you will be defeated by the disease soon. Your wife will be taken into an alley when she goes out to buy groceries, and she will be raped in front of you. He cursed extremely unpleasantly. The quality is quite low. All the red-clad fierce ghosts couldn't help but click their tongues. At this time, Yukino also came over, looked at the scarecrow on the ground, and said, "Stop scolding, it was the couple from the bloody paper shop who took action. Their only daughter was beheaded by you. It's unreasonable not to save them. This scapegoat is much more valuable than the scapegoat doll. Not only can it take the place of death, but it can also transfer death to other places. There are not many such precious supernatural props in the entire Nanjiang district. If you waste it here, that pair the couple must have been furious. In addition, since the other party can save people from such a distance, he may still have some sense to observe here. Be careful, the other party is an abyss-level ghost." The original intention of Suino's words was to remind Shenjian to pay attention to his words. There are also levels in Ghost King. The 6 Ghost Kings present today are only in the first stage of Ghost Kings. The second stage is the Abyss-level Ghost. The two seem to be only 1 level apart, but the gap is huge. Just like the old Ghost Refiner, if he tries his best, he can take away 4 or 5 Ghost Kings at once, but he is still only the first stage of the Ghost King, and cannot even approach the Abyss level. One can imagine how terrifying the Abyss level Ghost is. Who knows? Shenjian heard this. My eyes became brighter. An angry look appeared on his face, his fists clenched loudly, and he swung a sword towards the sky, tearing apart the clouds with its fierce sword light. His decisive voice spread in all directions. "Take away my woman, bloody paper shop, I will never share the same fate with you." Hear this. Everyone couldn't help but twitch the corners of their mouths. God took your woman away. She was someone else's daughter in the first place, and you have cut your woman in half. Isn't it too late to be affectionate now? At this time, sudden changes occur. The little scarecrow suddenly began to ooze blood, and the straw bulged out little by little, gradually forming a grimace, and an indescribable and terrifying supernatural force emanated from it. The ghosts are scary. Even Yukino's expression changed drastically. Abyss-level ghosts are the couple from the bloody paper shop. Hear this. All the red-clothed ghosts widened their eyes in shock. Under this terrifying yin qi, their bodies trembled slightly, and they were extremely frightened. This was a natural reaction of the body and was beyond their control. "Kill my daughter, stranger, and you're dead." The hoarse voice sounded, like a straw rope, dry and rustling, with endless resentment, making people's scalp feel as if it was about to explode. All the ghosts restrained their breath and did not dare to breathe. Shen Jian was originally angry. After seeing this grimace, his eyes sparkled. "You are calling me, right? I don't call you a stranger, I..." The words just fell. That terrifying grimace locked onto Shen Jian instantly. A cold and vicious voice echoed. "I have remembered your breath. It won't be long before I come to your door. Just like you beheaded my daughter today, I will destroy everything about you, kill all your relatives and friends, and plunge you into the deepest despair and pain." Coming to the door. Shen Jian was startled. This was a path he had never imagined, but it was not impossible, so he pondered for a moment and said, "If you know where my home is, just come to my door." "Haha, don't take chances, your breath will tell me everything," the grimace said with a serious smile. "No, I mean, if you don't know, I can tell you that my family lives in Villa No. 001 in Wanghaijiao, which is the largest Republic of China building near the cliff. Oh, you may not be familiar with this place, then let me tell you again that my ID number is XXXX, my horoscope is XXXX. Shen Jian spoke. He reported all his personal information very skillfully. In order to prevent the other party from not understanding the modern identity, he also thoughtfully told the birth date. Horrible grimace? He was stunned. I was stunned for a while. This was the first time he had seen such cooperation. Sudden. The scary grimace frowned. The protruding straw also retracted little by little. "Damn it, it's time so soon," said. The scarecrow gradually became silent. Shen Jian suddenly became anxious. "Brother, eldest brother, father-in-law, don't leave in a hurry. Have you memorized the address? I won't feel at ease if you recite it to me first." Shen Jian was reluctant to leave. This is an abyss-level ghost. If he catches one of them and adds the Ghost King here, he can not only unlock the 4th Yama Palace, but also the 5th one. Pity. Little did I know. His actions made the trembling red-clad devils twitch their lips. This human being is really not afraid of death. The sword in his hand can kill the first stage Ghost King, but it may not be able to kill the second stage Abyss-level Ghost King. Wait until all the abnormalities on the scarecrow disappear. Shen Jian also became melancholy. Hey, I don't know if he can remember it. Shen Jian sighed. But suddenly something occurred to me. Broken. He was taken inside. Since the other party can come to him, why can't he go to the other party? He was not familiar with the bloody paper shop, but Dean Huanquan was familiar with it. I heard that the wife of that couple was best friends with the dean, and was even taught the private technique of tongue-tying a rope. When I thought of the two women teaching each other this technique in the privacy of the boudoir, that woman must be lustful. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 189. Return to the castle. Shen Jian was enthusiastically praised by players. There are also 28 more players in his friend list. Yamluo, take a step to speak. The ancient instructor spoke. The Magic City branch under my command recently received a very special dungeon invitation letter. There is no upper limit on the number of invitations and no level limit, so I plan to conduct a practical dungeon teaching and record everything. Used as research material on the internal members of Daxia Lonke, I hope to invite you to participate, and record the entire process from your first perspective. Shen Jian. Follow me and record. Can you still learn something? What to study? 108 moves. A copy with no limit on the number of people. Shen Jian dismissed these messy thoughts and frowned. This was the first time he had heard of such a copy. It is not that he has never used special copies of invitations. The original supernatural funeral parlor dungeon used a special dungeon invitation letter. This kind of dungeon invitation letter was usually a 2-player mode, and the 3-player mode was rare, not to mention the unlimited multiplayer mode. Yes, we also find it strange, but this copy of the invitation does not have an upper limit on the number of people. I think it may be because this is a funeral. Funeral. That's right, according to the description of the player who brought back the dungeon invitation, he was originally on a mission in a place called Sujia village. When the dungeon was about to end, a villager ghost handed him the dungeon invitation, and informed him to attend the first 7 funerals here. Shen Jian frowned. Offering a copy of the invitation is an act of kindness. But what is hidden behind the first 7 is unknown. Notify me then. Shen Jian's eyes were excited and he chose to accept it without thinking. He likes the special copies best. Normal dungeons have a fair upper limit of horror levels. The upper limit of 3-star dungeons is red-clad ghosts. If you hold it to death, you will be the top redcoat level. This was somewhat uninteresting for Shen Jian, who had just killed 5 ghost kings. Special copies are different. This is a blind box. Fierce ghosts of any level may appear. The Ghost King is no exception. You agreed. Seeing Shen Jian being so cheerful, Instructor Gu was also startled. No matter what the other party said, he was in existence suspected of being a city god from the underworld. How could it be so simple to ask him to take action? He was already prepared for rejection. Why don't you agree? Shen Jian had a strange look in his eyes, patted his shoulder and said. Next time something good like this happens, please inform me directly and I will make a trip myself. The ancient instructor shook his head like a rattle. This is absolutely not possible. You are invited by us, so naturally you must receive the best treatment. Shen Jian was non-committal. After chatting for a while, we turned back to the castle. Looking at Shen Jian's back, Instructor Gu couldn't help but sigh. Needless to say, the attitude of the underworld, but this god who is suspected of being a city god does have a good attitude towards human beings, which is very consistent with the image of a city god who is in charge of one side and maintains local peace and compassion. He even had a vague illusion that Shen Jian seemed to be too proactive. Shen Jian knocked on Xiaoxuegui's door again. Coming. Came a light voice. The little snow ghost imitated the appearance of adults, wearing a light lace nightgown. The look in his eyes showed that he was ready to take whatever he wanted. See this? Shen Jian asked no more questions. A big hand. Then. A few hours later. The countdown to the Scarlet Panel is over. This battle for the title of king has reached its final settlement. This round of game has ended. Congratulations to the player for passing the Snow Castle dungeon. The copy is being settled. Rating, S. Experience gained, 500%. Note, you have been promoted to level 32. Items obtained, Thriller Coin * 5000. Get a special reward, the favor of the Ice and Snow Castle. Note, the player has obtained the highest favorability of the Ice and Snow Castle with the authority of the Dungeon Master. The player can enter the dungeon on his own. Get a special reward, the Breath of the Ghost King. Note, the player is targeted by the Ghost King of the Bloody Paper Making Shop and leaves behind a breath, which proves that the body of the breath is his prey. When the player steps into the Winter Zone, the copy will be automatically triggered and enter the Bloody Paper Making Shop. Real world. Shen Jian opened his eyes. Glancing at the Scarlet Panel. A trace of surprise flashed across his face. It turns out that this is what the aura mentioned by the owner of the terrifying grimace meant. Stepping into the Winter Advent area will automatically trigger a copy of the Bloody Paper Shop. Shen Jian was thoughtful. He hasn't even finished exploring the Nanjiang district where the newcomers have arrived. This Winterland area is not yet in his plans. I can only put it aside for now. Think about it this way. Netherworld. Shen Jian said to himself. Enter the underworld. The 12th level of hell, unlocked. System prompts also appear simultaneously. Mission, rebuild the underworld. The second stage, unlocking the 12th level of the 18 levels of hell, completed. Reward, Song Emperor Palace. Shen Jian showed a smile. Sure enough. Shen Jian opened the game panel. Player, King Yama himself. Identity, King of Yama, King of Qingguang, King of Shijiang, Emperor of Song Dynasty. Ability, Pressure of Ghosts and Gods, Ghost Aura, Blood of Ghosts and Gods, Good Omen of Ghosts and Gods, Power of Ghosts and Gods, Eyes of Ghosts and Gods, Heart of Ghosts and Gods, Communication between Yin and Yang. Strength, 80, the limit for ordinary people is 10. Speed, 80. Yin Qi, 12,000. Thriller Coin, 210000. Real Estate, Room 101, Unit 3, Swequan Community, Rebirth Villa, Supernatural Game Park, Blood Moon High School, Huangquan Hospital Building. Title, Dungeon Destroyer, Passive, Owner of Blood Spring Community, Real Estate Tycoon, Lord of the Past, Passive, Principal of Blood Moon High School, Passive, and the number 1 hegemon in Nanjiang District. Special Status, Attention from Glorious Ghosts and Gods. Special Status, The Breath of the Ghost King. Shen Jian was slightly startled. With the addition of the 4th great god of hell, he unlocked more permissions in the underworld. In particular, the Song Emperor's method of communicating yin and yang was actually a similar method of inviting gods. You can draw on the abilities of everyone, ghosts, gods, and immortals who have left their mark on the underworld. Coupled with the amplification effect of the heart of ghosts and gods, it is truly possible to bring the once mythical character to life. Master magical powers. This Emperor Song is so domineering. Shen Jian took a breath of cold air. No, I have to find a ghost to play with. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 190. City God's Temple. After nearly half a month of renovation, the originally dilapidated temple has been completely rebuilt, and half of the building has been renovated. Shen Jian walked into the depths of the City God's temple and stepped into the City God's hall. Inside the palace, the ghost teacher is sorting out the collection of prayer books one by one. Divided into 2 parts. Part of it is a folk prayer. Part of it is a supernatural prayer. And put the prayer book that may contain supernatural events in the most conspicuous place, and place them in order. Shen Jian nodded frequently. Let the ghost teacher do this, he is really a professional counterpart. Shen Jian flipped through these booklets. Captivated by one of the volumes. Zhou Prayer Content, Promotion and Wealth. This is a very common prayer. 7 of the 10 people who came to the Chenghuang temple to pray had similar content. However, what attracted Shen Jian was the annotation in this booklet. The person praying is a fierce ghost. Ghost teacher. Shen Jian called softly. In the hall, a hazy black vortex appeared in the hall, and the ghost teacher wearing the robe of the Republic of China walked up to Shen Jian. Master Yama, what are your orders? The ghost teacher said respectfully. He has become a sinister person and is absolutely loyal to the king of hell in front of him. What's going on with the annotations in your booklet? Shen Jian handed over the prayer book. The ghost teacher took a few glances and explained, Sir, my judgment is correct. Although I live in the city god's hall, the man is indeed not a living person. However, he does not seem to realize this and is still following the behavior he had during his lifetime. Model. Shen Jian was thoughtful. As the invasion of the Yangshi by horror games continues to deepen, in addition to the strange resurgence and mysterious arrival of the game itself, the Yangshi has also begun to see the resurgence of evil ghosts. According to the normal order, people will enter the underworld after death and undergo reincarnation based on their merits during life. However, the underworld is broken and the 6 paths of reincarnation have not yet been established. After death, people can only dissipate between heaven and earth. The more resentful you are before death, the easier it is to become a lonely ghost. This was the initial chaos in Yangshi after the invasion of horror games. If it continues to develop, Yangshi will become a ghost town sooner or later. Humans and ghosts coexist. This is not a good thing. Do you know the specific situation? Shen Jian asked. In his absence, he left everything in the city god's hall to the ghost teacher. Except for the fact that there is no seal symbolizing the identity of the city god, the ghost teacher is basically equivalent to half of the city god. Great authority. Really? The ghost teacher nodded. Sir, I knew you would ask questions, so I arranged for the dead man to investigate. This is the information. Shen Jian nodded. The ghost teacher has the qualifications of a city god. Moment. Shen Jian finished reading the information. It can be summed up in one sentence: family conflicts. The husband beats his wife to death, and the wife returns as a ghost and kills the man. The man also turns into a ghost, but seems to have no memory of before he was killed and repeats his original life. He also repeated the experience of being killed. I'll take a trip. Shen Jian stood up. Turn around and leave. Looking for an interested Li Gui, he just wanted to test Emperor Song's ability. The other side. Zhou Ziofa returned home. He untied his suit and tie, took out a few cans of cold beer, sat lazily on the sofa, turned on the TV, and started watching while drinking. Hey, wife, is the meal ready? I'm starving. Come quickly. Halfway through the shouting, it stopped abruptly. He suddenly remembered that his wife was not at home and was still in the hospital. Unlucky, let's order takeout. Clatter. At this time, there were footsteps at the end of the corridor. Zhou Ziofa was stunned. I don't know when my wife Chunlin walked out of the corridor. Huh? When did you get discharged from the hospital? Are you trying to scare me to death? When you walked out without turning on the lights, I thought there was a burglar in the house. Zhou Ziofa became increasingly dissatisfied. He turned his head and instinctively looked at his wife. There were no lights on in the corridor, and most of my wife's body was shrouded in darkness, and half of her face could be vaguely seen. Her face was very pale. Maybe it was because he had just been discharged from the hospital, but there was almost no blood in his lips. However, Zhou Ziofa didn't care. He just couldn't help but cursed again. Now that you're back, why are you going to cook and standing like a dead person? Huh? Did you hear what I said? He found. His wife Chunlin ignored him at all. He slowly turned around and walked towards the kitchen. Zhou Ziofa frowned. You got angry with me, didn't you? I just hit you twice and sent you to the hospital. What's the fuss about? Forget it, I'm too lazy to argue with you today. In words. He took a swig of beer. Due to the recent success at work and the fact that he had just been discharged from the hospital, he did not plan to take action again. If he was beaten to death, the good gentleman image he maintained outside would be gone. Watched TV for a while. Zhou Ziofa picked up his phone again and started scrolling. Seeing the information about the owner group 999+, he looked down. The pupils shrank suddenly. The information is from 4 days ago. The content is that a woman committed suicide in the hospital building and jumped from the top. According to the owners, the woman who committed suicide was his wife Chunlin. Because I couldn't bear the long-term violence, I finally couldn't think about it. Josiopha was furious. One by one in the group went over and cursed angrily, "Curse people to death, right? My wife is alive and well, what are you really worried about?" The atmosphere in the group solidified. "Why are you cursing your wife? You are crazy. We are talking about the owner of room 5506. Josiopha said, "I live in 5506, Chunlin is my wife, and my wife is obviously fine." "Your wife? Are you Josiopha? The owner who died mysteriously at home 3 days ago, with hundreds of knives slashed on his body. You don't have to worry about going to hell if you steal someone else's dead person's account." The group immediately began to point the finger at Josiopha. He angrily sent a voice message, "I, just come up, at 5506, find me. Say it." He shouted again, "Wife, someone cursed you to death, come with me and curse you back." Josiopha looked towards the kitchen. Then, my scalp felt numb. "I don't know when I will see you." Chunlin in the kitchen was standing at the door of the kitchen, staring straight at him, her eyes widened, and she was grinning at herself. Josiopha immediately remembered the news in the owner group about the woman jumping off the building. When he looked at his wife Chunlin, her face was too pale. It didn't look like the paleness of a patient at all, but more like the paleness of a dead person. It was at this time Chunlin came over with a knife. Out of the shadows of darkness, with a charming smile on his face, he rushed towards Josiopha. Ghost. At this moment, Josiopha finally believed the fact that his wife was a ghost. "Ah!" he screamed in horror. The female ghost appeared in front of him and grabbed his neck. The coldness of those dead hands spread down his neck and throughout his body, shattering Josiopha's last bit of luck. "That temperature is too cold. It's not the temperature a living person should have at all. Only ghosts can be so cold." His consciousness began to fade. He looked like he was going to die. Boom. At this time, the door was kicked open. "Chunlin?" She turned around with a confused look on her face. A handsome-looking young man walked in, with a strange hemp rope wrapped around his wrist, and the rope ends on both sides were still moving around. It was Shenjian. "Help me." Although he didn't know Shenjian, Josiopha instinctively raised his hand and asked Shenjian for help due to his strong desire to survive. Shenjian raised his eyebrows. "Hold on, uncle." Glancing at both sides. "Take big strides forward." Surprise flashed in Josiopha's eyes. "Very good. As long as this person can help him attract his wife's attention, he can take the opportunity to escape from here." The next second, Josiopha watched helplessly. The young man kicked him suddenly. "Ah! Ah!" Chunlin and Josiopha screamed at the same time. The huge force not only kicked the female ghost away, but Josiopha in front of her also flew out and hit the wall of the hall. It took a while. The female ghost Chunlin was lying on the ground, covering her lower back where she was kicked and unable to get up, looking at this human being in shock and anger. "Dog man, why is he so strong? Do you want to kick my medical insurance card into arrears? It hurts so much." The female ghost Chunlin was shocked and angry at this time. At this time, Shenjian also saw the dying Josiopha, frowned, and looked at the female ghost with an unkind expression. "Damn it, you tortured him so viciously. Uncle, are you okay? It looks like you have a few broken ribs, but don't worry, I will never let you get hurt." "Josiopha. How dare you say it again?" Female ghost Chunlin. There was a rush in her chest. Furious. Such an injustice. She hasn't asked this human to reimburse her medical expenses yet. It will take at least 5 figures to get up after the step. But she is not stupid after all. She knew that a human being capable of such a kick was definitely not something she could match. Then she endured the discomfort, turned around and ran away. Shen Jian ignored it. The ghost rope on the wrist comes to life. A blood-stained hemp rope was pulled from the ceiling, and the female ghost Chunlin was pulled out and hung up at the same time. Return to Shen Jian. Female ghost Chunlin. Zhou Ziofu. Master, hurry up, take her away quickly. She is a ghost, the kind that can harm people. I almost died just now. He shouted. I was very scared of the hanging wife in front of me. Haha, Zhou Ziofu, you don't think you are still alive, do you? As early as the day after I committed suicide by jumping off the building, I came back to seek revenge on you and shaved off all your flesh and blood. You would have been dead long ago. The female ghost Chunlin said sadly. I am a ghost, and so are you. Hear this. Zhou Ziofu was stunned for a moment. Then he trembled all over. The look of death gradually appeared on his face. His eyes were hollow, his mouth and nose were bleeding, and the flesh and blood on his body had been shaved clean, leaving him with a living skeleton. I'm dead. I've been dead a long time ago. I'm also a ghost. He murmured. His eyes were blank for a while, as if he couldn't believe it. See it? Shen Jian knelt down and patted his shoulder with a very kind smile. Don't worry, brother, those in our profession are also principled. The main reason is that there are some crazy ghosts in society who kill people indiscriminately, which is too harmful. But now you only need to complete a questionnaire. Don't worry, it's just some common sense questions. As long as you can prove your behavior, your thinking ability is sound, and you won't kill people because of triggering the killing pattern, I can let you go. Hear this. Zhou Ziofu was greatly moved and said very gratefully, thank you. Thank you to this little ghost exorcist. Heaven and earth can learn from each other, I am a good ghost. Hear this. The female ghost Chunlin, who was hung up and rolled her eyes, smiled sarcastically. It seemed as if he was mocking the man in front of him for being able to say such disgusting words with dignity. Whether it's good or not will be known after a test. Shen Jian shook his head, looking businesslike. Zhou Ziofu also said that he would actively cooperate. Because from a ghost's perspective, he is indeed a good ghost. He's not afraid to answer questions. Listen. Shen Jian said seriously, excuse me, why do men eventually marry their wives? Zhou Ziofu. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 191. Zhou Ziofu is very confident. There is no doubt that he is a good ghost. Even after turning into a fierce ghost, he still followed the trajectory of his life and never killed anyone at all. Instead, he suffered inhuman torture. Without knowing it, he was killed several times by his wife Chunlin. Each time, he lost his previous memory and continued to repeat the process of being killed. If you were to select a top 10 tragic characters, he would definitely be on the list. Therefore, he is not afraid to answer the questions of this little celestial master. Until the other party asks such a question. Why do men eventually marry their wives? Zhou Ziofu. He was originally full of confidence, but after hearing this question, his face suddenly froze. Damn, what a retarded question. This. He hesitated, but couldn't come up with an answer. Shen Jian is very patient. After waiting for almost 10 seconds, he shook his head. Second question, if a person commits suicide, will there be one more person who commits suicide in the world or one less person who commits suicide? Zhou Ziofu. Female ghost Chunlin. Shen Jian continued like a spring breeze, it doesn't matter, you just need to answer 3 questions correctly. If not, we will skip it. Question 3, can walnuts squeezed by the door still nourish the brain? Is expired poison more poisonous or less poisonous? Why does every meteorite fall into the crater accurately? The Chinese New Year's blessing characters must be pasted upside down. Why don't manufacturers just produce upside down blessing characters? Xiao Ming had 10 apples. He ate 4 and gave 4 to Grandpa. How old is Grandpa Xiao Ming? Is Yang Jian's third eye a single eyelid or a double eyelid? Shen Jian's questions came one after another. This. Zhou Ziofa was immediately stunned. The more he thought about these questions, the wider his mouth opened, and his mind was confused. At a certain moment, he even doubted that if he could tell the answers to these questions, could he still be considered a normal person? But these are indeed common sense questions. But he couldn't answer even one question. Could it be that my thinking is not sound? Am I sick? Am I a crazy ghost? Or is the world crazy? Zhou Ziofa kept muttering. Covering his head, his face showed pain. Master, I can't tell the difference, I can't tell the difference. Shen Jian looked at him with pity. Baby, it's for your own good. Don't embarrass yourself too much. Facts have proved that you are indeed sick, but it doesn't matter. I am the director of the Huangquan ward. I can open a special VIP channel for you. Shen Jian's tone was gentle. The bits of minced meat and the smell of blood stained on the raised mace all tell the story of this man's indifference. Zhou Ziofa wanted to escape. But a hand had already grabbed his shoulder, and no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't move even half an inch. Zhou Ziofa became frightened. It was obvious that this little celestial master had just patted his shoulder gently and persuaded him gently, but at this moment, he revealed his ferocious nature. I'm not crazy, you are the crazy ones. Under such shouts, the mace crashed down. Ah! Shocking screams echoed everywhere. This made Chunlin, the female ghost beside her, have her eyelids twitching wildly. This human seems to be a little abnormal. It's your turn next. Shen Jian let go of the ghost rope. The female ghost Chunlin fell. He looked at Shen Jian with a confused expression. What's going on? Are you going to let her go? Just when the female ghost was wondering, Shen Jian had already grabbed her with one hand. She suddenly realized. A flattering smile appeared on his face. And he opened the collar on his chest, revealing a large area of snow white. If the target is you, I can, The words have not yet fallen. The female ghost Chunlin let out a miserable scream, and the place touched by Shen Jian made a sizzling sound and smoke billowed out. Thump! She collapsed to the ground, rolling, looking at Shen Jian in horror. Female ghost. Why are this human's hands so powerful? Touching her was like getting an electric shock. There is a physical pain. Take another look. Not like. There was really an electric arc coming out of this human's hand. Crackling. You can still vaguely hear the sound of rumble and thunder. Shen Jian looked excited. He raised his hand and looked at his spark-charged palm. It is as expected. Emperor Song's ability to communicate with yin and yang allows him to draw on the magical powers of everyone who has been marked by the underworld, ghosts, gods, immortals, and demons. He just borrowed the thunder method from the former Tianqi mansion. Shen Jian clicked his tongue. In addition to the abilities of King Yama, this was the first time that he was fully interested in the abilities of other kings of Yama. Communicating yin and yang, if played well, it can be amazing. Especially after he possesses the priesthood of the four kings of hell, even if he uses the magical powers of the former mythical figures, his body will not be unable to bear it. Think about it. He had a new idea. Approaching the female ghost Chunlin. Female ghost. Don't come over. She was so frightened that she clawed at the floor with both hands, trying to crawl away from Shen Jian. Sister ghost, We still have time to spend a happy time. Shen Jianjia smiled strangely. The big palm leaf fan handful of electric arcs has already grabbed the female ghost. He just borrowed the thunder method of the weakest heavenly master. He wanted to know how strong this thunder method could be with the blessing of his own ability. The female ghost was frightened. Struggling crazily, "No, don't touch me, don't come here, take it away, take that thing away, ah. I don't want it, let me go. I don't want it, ah." This moment. Crackling. Arc bursts. Screams started. The other side. In the corridor of room 5506 where Josiopha was located, the elevator door opened and several members wearing special uniforms appeared. The leader was none other than Captain Daxia Longquexia, who had met Shen Jian 3 times. "Are you sure that was the voice of the deceased Josiopha just now? Wasn't it someone pretending to be?" Captain Xia spoke. His expression was extremely serious. Just now, he received a report from a resident here, saying that the deceased in room 5506 had been resurrected, and he sent an audio message to the group. "I'm sure, that's Josiopha's voice. Listen for yourselves. This voice doesn't sound like a human being speaking." A resident who reported the incident played an audio clip. The voice was intermittent, as if it was squeezed out from between the teeth. It had a sharp and hoarse feeling. Just listening to it, it felt so penetrating. The surrounding Daxia Dragon Bird members all felt aversion to the cold. A ghost was talking in the group, and he even said that his wife was not dead. Needless to say, this was definitely a supernatural event. Captain Xia's face was solemn. They had retrieved the information about room 5506 as soon as possible. The deceased, Chunlin, jumped to her death 7 days ago. Her husband, Josiophu, was hacked to death at home 3 days ago. The official characterized it as a deliberate homicide and did not think about the supernatural incident. If Li Gui hadn't spoken in the group today, no one would have thought that a ghost had sneaked in here. Preliminary judgment shows that the danger level of Li Gui is sea level. Captain Xia glanced at the door. "After thinking about it, I still didn't open it rashly. Although the ghost in the sea level supernatural incident is only in a fixed place, it does not mean that the horror level of the ghost is also sea level. With the Daxia Dragon Bird members present, they cannot solve a supernatural incident alone. It must be reported to the branch and let professionals handle it." Just when several people chose to leave. "Ah! No! Let me go!" A hoarse scream from a female ghost shocked everyone. Everyone was stunned and looked towards room 5506. That scream definitely came from here. But isn't it a male ghost? Why is it a female voice? And it sounds like something bad is going on inside. It's broken, not one ghost, but 2 ghosts. Captain Xia suddenly thought of something. His expression changed drastically. Because he thought of the worst possible scenario. Room 5506 contains not 1 ghost, but 2. In addition to Josiophu, the deceased Chunlin also turned into a ghost. At this time, there was another sound coming from the room. In addition to the female ghost's voice, they also heard a strange laugh, like a bully forcing a good family woman. "Ah! No! Put that thing away quickly! Please let me go! It hurts, stop it, don't come over!" Daxia Longquay member. "Captain, are you sure there's a ghost inside?" Captain Xia. He was also a little confused. Because he heard that the male voice inside seemed familiar. It's a bit like Shen Jian's voice. If Shen Jian is really inside, what is he doing now? Exorcise ghosts? This doesn't look like it either. It's like controlling a ghost. Sudden. Shen Jian's voice sounded again. "Stop screaming. Your husband has been tied up by me. Even if you scream, no one will come." The words fell. The sound of a female ghost whining came from room number 5506. It was as if he had undergone some kind of cruel torture, his eyes were white and he was foaming at the mouth. Everyone was stunned. They were unaware of the situation in the room, but at this moment, a picture could not help but appear in their minds, a picture that could only be seen on the computer's study materials file. Captain Xia was shocked. It's confirmed, it's really Shen Jian. He discovered the abnormality of this family first, and then came all the way to solve the supernatural incident here. First I tied up my husband, and now. Listen to the whine of the female ghost. He looked strange. For a moment I didn't know whether I should go in or not. If Shen Jian was disturbed in his work and the other party blamed him, he wouldn't be able to bear it. Don't want. At this time, with an earth-shattering scream, the door was pushed completely open. A female ghost with disheveled hair rushed out of the room. The female ghost seemed to be frightened by something, and her face showed all kinds of emotions, including shock, anger, sadness, and indignation. But what made them even more stunned was that no part of the female ghost's body was intact. She seemed to have been brutally abused. Green smoke was coming from her body, and drool was drooling from the corners of her mouth due to the severe pain. The female ghost Chunlin also immediately noticed the people on guard in the corridor. In the astonished eyes of these people, she hugged the thigh of a female member of Daxia Lonke. "You are official, take me away, please take me away," she cried and begged. "I feel pity for you." All the members of the great Xia Lonke were stunned. When did Li Gui become so self-aware? Be good, let her solve the unfair treatment she suffered. Everyone was stunned. He stared at the young man who came out like a god. Shen Jian looked over. He was also startled. "It's you guys. I'm sorry. I was having so much fun that I accidentally let this female ghost run in. Come here, do you want to taste what you just felt like again?" Shen Jian said casually. Then he looked at the female ghost fiercely and waved. Subconsciously, everyone's eyes fell on the female ghost. Female ghost Chunlin. Damn it, you guys are in the same group. Woohoo, there are evil tigers in front and a pack of wolves behind. Why is her life so miserable? In humiliation, she let go of the thigh she was holding and turned back 3 times with one step. It's like walking to the execution ground. It's okay. I have solved the supernatural incident here. You can call it a day. Shen Jian waved his hand. Captain Xia hesitated to speak. "Mr. Shen, are you? Can't you see? I taught this female ghost a little lesson." Captain Xia. "I just asked because I saw it. And? Are you sure it's just a small lesson?" Everyone subconsciously looked at the next step and turned around 3 times. While trembling, their eyes looked like a female ghost asking for help. "Mr. Shen, her husband is still here after all. You are like this. Shen Jian? Soon." Shen Jian reacted. He shook his head and said, "What are you thinking? Do you think I'm acting out in front of her husband? Am I so perverted?" Shen Jian waved his hand. He said impatiently, "Go back where you should, you are not needed here." Finished. There was a snap. The door was closed. Inside the room, the female ghost Chunlin said sadly and angrily, "Human, what on earth do you want to do? You can't be killed. I'm not the material for you to experiment with thunder methods." Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. In the experiment just now, he almost figured out the limits of thunder method. If you just rely on the thunder method, it can have a serious impact on the ghosts below the red level. The thunder and lightning drawn by the thunder method can also dismember the ghosts and effectively suppress the ghosts' supernatural powers. As for red shirt level and above, I haven't tried it yet. Shen Jian's eyes moved. The weakest celestial master's lightning technique alone can cause such injuries to ghosts below the red level. It's hard to imagine how powerful it would be if he used magical powers at the level of immortals. How did such powerful gods, demons, immortals, and Buddhas die all at once, turning the Yangshi into the world it is now, a world without demons and lawlessness? What role do thriller games play in this? Participants? Or a despicable thief? Shen Jian was thoughtful. The female ghost Chunlin was also rewarded with a whole body trembling package. That's all. He returned home with 2 ghosts. The entrance of Villa No 001. A girl in a sweatshirt stood in the cold wind, huffing and shivering. Master, I've finally waited for you. The girl is very active and full of youthful spirit. It's you. Shen Jian said lightly. He knew this girl. To be precise, he remembered this girl's aura. The night he moved to Villa No 001, it was the girl in front of him who was spying on him. The girl was stunned. His expression became even more excited. The villa she was in was an unknown distance away from No 001. Without the help of a telescope, she wouldn't even be able to see Villa 001. And the other party could actually see her. This is definitely a true master. Is there a problem? Master, my name is Zhang Yuman. My friend is missing. I suspect that she encountered a supernatural incident. I can pay for it. I want you to help me. The girl in the sweatshirt was a little excited, but also a little scared. How are you sure it's a supernatural incident? Shen Jian's face was expressionless. He has basically left ordinary supernatural events to the underworld. After all, he can only catch 1 or 2 white-clad ghosts in one trip, which is a waste of his time. If he has this time, he might as well enter the horror game. It's really a supernatural event. Master, do you know about ghost masters? My friend once told me that she met a ghost master and muttered something, telling me that she had been chosen by the ghost master. As long as you can become a ghost master and a new human being, you can survive in this cruel world. She disappeared after that and didn't come to school for several days. I also went to her home to look for her, and her parents said she never came back. I suspect that she was deceived by this so-called ghost master. Shen Jian finished listening. Startled slightly. It's quite unusual for a ghost master to commit fraud. But this new human being heard this term. Shen Jian frowned. What are the characteristics of that ghost master? The girl in the sweatshirt was stunned for a moment, and then responded, my friend said that the ghost master is very mysterious. Apart from showing the so-called supernatural power, he has never shown his face. However, she did notice that there was a blood mark on the ghost master's wrist. Hear this. Shen Jian smiled. New humanity, a blood seal symbolizing identity. It is indeed the so-called fallen angel organization. To induce ordinary people to say that they can become ghost masters, there must be a secret operation involved. I know, I'll investigate. Shen Jian nodded. Turn around and return to the villa. The fallen angel organization is a high-quality reserve of evil ghosts. While the other side was stocking grain, he was stocking guns. When nothing happens, they will loot it. Catch high-quality ghosts. This fallen angel organization really has his best interests at heart. He called Qian Quan again. Do you have any clues about the fallen angel organization? Qian Quan was stunned. Are you living here? Shen Jian already knew the news he just learned. Have. The other party's recent operations are on a large scale. They are deceiving ordinary people everywhere. I suspect that they want to hold a blood sacrifice and summon the Ghost King from the horror world here. Shen Jian showed a trace of emotion. It's the Ghost King again. This fallen angel organization is really good people. Mr. Shen, this incident is of great importance. As soon as I have clues, I will report it to you immediately. I hope you can help. Shen Jian's smile became even brighter. I'll take action.